Day 8, meal 3. This is about 3 hours after the last meal. I went to Zohara. What I'll be having is my leftovers from Zohara. I kind of cut it in almost half. This is actually about maybe a third of what that was. So has all the elements that we saw before. Now, I was noticing something like, okay, 4 cubes of feta cheese. Okay, in my life, have I ever eaten 4 cubes of anything? It's like a tiny portion, but it was really satisfying. I slowed down, let myself enjoy it, let myself taste it. So I felt like I was kind of breaking the rules a little bit because, you know, I've been saying all along, it's like try to lay off of cheese. Not lay off, let's just not have it part of the plan. And then I worked a little bit hard to convince myself, and maybe you, that Greek yogurt was the same thing as cheese if you think about it, or if you don't think about it, or if you think about it like this way over here, right? So feta, 4 cubes of feta. I've got 1 cube left, so I saved 1 for this kind of next meal. The flavor, the tangy flavor of the feta, along with the peppers and the tomato, was immensely satisfying. So I don't know what it is about that tangy flavor for me. I'm recollecting I used to train in Aikido with a teacher in Chicago. His name was Toyota. He was from Japan. And recollecting training in the morning, early in the morning, we'd have practice, and then we'd have breakfast at a long Japanese table. Everybody's sitting, right? And I remember him commenting about, here in the United States, everybody likes sweet things for breakfast. But in Japan, they like sour things. He had these little pickles. They were super sour. I thought they were super delicious. I don't know if it's a matter of taste or body chemistry or style or just what you get used to. I seem to favor that direction, and I wonder what that's about. I don't really know what it's about. I'm doing pretty good right now. I am hungry, not super hungry, and I don't have any intense cravings, but I just feel that my body's asking me for something. All right, let's make that soup real quick. It's so easy to do. Now, I have some shortcuts on this. I have some friends that have these kind of special soup recipes and processes, and I'll send you the link along for that. Try it, see if you like it. I recommend it, but you can also do everything yourself, make everything yourself. It's not that difficult. Right here in my pan, I have 4 chicken cutlets, and I have 4 chicken legs. The skin, I'm going to let the skin cook in this, but then I'm going to take the skin out. So in with that, I've got all the celery. I'm just going to put it right in. I'm not going to stage this or cook a little bit, and then it just all goes in. Giant amount of parsley, right? I've got some carrots in the refrigerator. I'm going to throw those in. The soup is basically just a slow simmering bunch of stuff that you gather together. I imagine in caveman days, they probably had soup all the time. They probably just kept adding to it. Okay, do you remember this? This is from a couple days ago. This is what's left of that. Remember that gigantic mound that we cooked? This is what's left right in the soup. So a couple times a week, I'm making a soup out of everything that's kind of left, the leftovers. I also have the squash and the cauliflower, and I haven't had too much of that yet. My hands are clean, so I'm just going to put in some broccoli and cauliflower using my hands, and I'll save the rest of it for a stir fry for maybe tomorrow. And in my stir fry, I will use maybe a tablespoon of olive oil. So I'm going to put about half of this in here, and it's riced. It's a very thinly chopped process that they do. I suppose if you'd had enough time and energy, you could chop this fine yourself. It's called riced, and it can replace rice very effectively, potatoes, everything else. I'm going to do the same thing here, put a little bit of squash in. This is my brilliant recipe. Salt, pepper. Guess what? I don't have any onions. What happened? Well, I'm going to live without them. I'm going to put in a fair amount of garlic to kick up the flavor, and I'm going to use this chicken base to help kick up the flavor a little bit. And I'll put a little bit of garlic pepper in. Sometimes I like to add turmeric. Now, there was a big discussion at Hartford Ballroom where I'm involved amongst some of the people. So I'm involved in Argentine Tango, and I'm not saying you should do Argentine Tango, but doing some activity with people where you're connected. I'm also involved in Gracie Jiu-Jitsu. I teach a class. There's a lot of physical connection in that, as well as dance. The physical connection and the emotional bonding that we do when we're with people that we like and care about, I think has a very, very important and powerful effect on our body chemistry. Number one, it builds oxytocin, and that's a chemical that helps to soothe us. And, when you think like if we're like really feel like we're under pressure or under a threat, that body chemistry is driven by like adrenaline, vasopressin, these very powerful hormones that our body knows how to make and deliver upon demand. Our cortisol level goes up with greater amounts of perceived stress. So when we do an activity where we're with people, talking with people, connecting with people, also when that activity is physical, where can be some physical connection. So like a dance practice is by nature, there's a lot of connecting, physical connecting and bonding that's occurring, and you switch partners, you work on another move. Very, very powerful because it builds oxytocin, reduces cortisol, and helps us to be in a kind of a greater balance. Our body and mind knows what to do. So let's think about making part of our diet classes that we enjoy, with people that we like. I mean, you could be part of a book club, Yeah, I mean, sitting and talking with people in close proximity about a book that you're reading, I mean, that might satisfy that too. There's lots of ways to go about this kind of idea. I would love to hear from you about it. I would love for everybody that's watching this to be involved in some physical activity where there's strong connection with people that you like and care about. And I'd love to hear about how you feel about that and how it affects you. Okay, well, there's my soup. I'm going to add water and my other ingredients that I mentioned. And then, as my mom always said, I'm going to cook it until it's done. So you know what's great? Now, my mom passed away in like around 2000. And my mom was like really awesome because, I mean, she was always like really cooking something, and our house was very comfortable. Myself, my brothers always could, our friends would gather there, and it was really terrific. My mom and dad were great as far as, creating this kind of a friendly environment, kind of a nice sense of community. We used to make tamales every summer and like get all the neighbors together and buy like a huge truckload of corn and go through a whole process. It would be days on end, and we'd all split our tamales, and we used to go sell a lot of tamales, and it's just one of the ways that we made our way. But that feeling of coming together around food or around an activity is very present. My mom was very central in that type of creating that kind of atmosphere. And it's fun to sometimes find her recipes now that I haven't seen in a long time, and it'd be like this, and this, and it's kind of the measurements I just did. Some of you all be like, well, yeah, but how much of that was there? Well, it was like about this much, right? Play. That's my mom's style of recipe. Then it's like, well, and then cook it till it's done. Play. Cook it till it's done. Don't worry about too many of the details. You can feel your way through. You can feel your way to a place where you know what's right, where you know something's done. You don't have to have a specific instruction. You might think you need that. If you're following along here, you're kind of by now getting the idea that I'm kind of making it up as I go, right? This is like me living my life. This is me over a week ago hearing from the doctor that my odds of stroke and heart attack are pretty high, right? Now, okay, this is me. This is my real life. I'm not, kind of kidding around about this, but I am following my instinct. I'm following my impulse. I'm following this deeper wisdom. I don't always go with the first thought. The first thought sometimes is the old momentum, right? The cheeseburger momentum, the pizza momentum. I never had any issue or problem with potato chips or ice cream or anything like that. None of that. That thought, though, that goes towards cheeseburger with gigantic bun, that bun turns to sugar so fast, is not the same as the impulse of the hunger and the detail of the craving that I'm experiencing. That's my body like speaking to me. So when I slow down and let go of the first thought and just come back and feel what I'm feeling, I'm not going to die as a result of feeling hungry. I'm going to let myself feel hungry. We can let ourselves feel hungry all day, and then maybe even another day, even another day. We could go for a lot longer than what we think. So just feeling what our body is asking for, we can trust that. We can trust that. All right. Now, I will line all this out. You'll be able to see here that I'm going to, once this is all and done, I'm going to have all the menus and the ingredients and all that kind of stuff. If you need a very specific plan and you need to know it in advance and all that, that's okay. I'm going to help you with that. You'll have access to that. But for right now, cook it till it's done. My mom would say just cook it till it's done. Okay. There you go. See you in 3 or 4 hours.